Very good evening to all of you. In the last section, we discussed about the static variable and non-static variable, and we also discuss about how we will execute the static variable and how will you execute the non-static variable. Now, today we'll discuss about the concept of a constant in Java. Like in C language, C++, we have the concept of final of we have concept of constant variable. So that means we cannot able to change the value of variable. For example, if we initialize a variable with some value, that value may be changed during execution of program in variable, but in constant the value will not change. That means the value remains fixed. Okay, we all know about the constant concept. So for example, I will explain that. So for example, we all know that we are using a pi concept in a mathematical expression, in that the value of pi is 3.14. That value will not change. Okay, so similarly, if you want to do program in that, if you want to declare a variable whose value will not change, then we need to use the concept called as a constant. Okay, so also we can say that to make a constant we need to use a key called as a final. Make a note of that. Without a keyword final we cannot able to create constant in Java. Okay, so let's start. So constant in Java, constant is an identifier whose value cannot be changed during execution of the program. This is the standard definition. And if you want to use another definition, then we can use like that: a name given to a storage area where we can store our values, whose value cannot change. Make a note of that: whose value cannot change during execution of program is called as a constant. Called as a constant. In Java, to make the identifier as a constant, we need to use a keyword called as a final. Make a note of that. Also, in the interview, some interview will ask the what is the difference between final, finally, and finalize. These three are very different concepts. Okay, where final is used for the to make a variable as a constant. Finally is used for the exception handling, and finalize is used for the garbage collection. Okay, these three are the different questions, but they will ask what is the difference between final, finally, and finalize. So among that, today we will discuss about what is a final and how we'll do that. Okay, so to make a final, to make a constant, we need to use a keyword. I will show you the difference, and we will execute that program also. Don't worry about that. So when we make your variable as a constant, then it is a mandatory to use a final keyword. Final keyword, which is a playing an important role in three levels. Okay, they are variable level, they are at method level, and they are at class level. That means if you want to make your variable as a constant, then we will use a final keyword at variable level. If you want to make your method as a constant, then we will use a final keyword at method level. And if you want to make your class level final variable, then we can do it. What is the difference between why we make final as a method, why we make a final as a class, or final as a variable? Make a note of that. When we use final, that means we cannot inherit the property. Okay, so for example, when we use a final in variable level, that means the value of that variable will not change. If we trying to use a a final function, final method, then that method will not inherit it. When we use a final at class level, then that class will not inherit it. Some certain methods are available, so you make a note of that. So we'll do at method level later on, we'll do final at class level later on, but right now we need to understand how it works at final at variable. Let's check for the example. Okay, so we'll do the examples also. So here I will open a notepad. First of all, just what should I do? I will declare one normal variable and I will print the value of that variable. Okay, so minute. Suppose here I have declared one class, so we'll do one new class. So in that here I'm declaring a class, and the name of class is final underscore. This one is my class name. First of all, I will save this class name, save as. So in double quote, we'll save the program name final demo.java. That program will be stored in a D drive in a folder of Java. So done. Now here what should do, we'll declare one variable int abcd, and here or just will use what, var1, and we will use the value as a 10. Okay, later on, just here I'm trying to use again int, and var1 is equals to 20. Okay, so this is a normal variable. Okay, declaration and initialization of variable. Now what should I do? Use one method, main method, that is a public static void main, that I will declare a string args of an array, and inside that I will display the value of var1. So for that we need to use system dot dot dot. Today we will discuss about why we use system dot out dot. Okay, system dot out dot println. Side I will display the value of variable one is colon. To make a separation, here I will use a plus symbol, and here I will pass a var1 as a value, and it terminate the statement. Okay, so this is my simple program. Just save it and trying to execute that program. Before execution of that program, just I want to ask one question regarding that. Does this program generates error? Does this program will generate some output? Okay, output will be 10, the output will be 20, and third option is it will generate and compile time error, and last one is it will generate runtime error. So what is your options? For example, here I will give you options. Okay, so for that I will use this first option is it will generate 10 output. Second option is it will generate 20 output. Okay, make a note, second option. Third, it will generate compile time error. The last option, it will generate runtime error. What do you think? What do you think that? Which type of error it will generate? Unmute yourself. Does anyone know about that? Which output will be? You have four options. First, it will generate 10. Second, it will generate 20. Third, it will generate compile time error. And fourth, it will generate runtime error. We'll discuss about compile means at the time of compilation, it will generate error. And runtime means at the time of execution, it will generate error. Ageshri, what do you think? Which type of error will be generated? If you don't know, let me know about that. Yes. Radhesham.
Compile time, sir.
Compile time error will be generated. Any other student? Poonam? Shruti? Header does not contain main. Who's this?
Sneha.
नेहा, काय म्हणायचं नेमकी तुला?
सर मी आज हे ट्राय केलं सर, पण ते म्हणतायत की एडिटर डज नॉट कंटेन मेन.
ओके, दॅट मीन्स तुझा प्रोग्राम सेव्ह नाही झाला .java ने.
हो का?
आपण असेच प्रोग्राम करतो. मी एक्झिक्यूट करून दाखवतो, काही प्रॉब्लेम नाही. मला फक्त एकदा स्क्रीनशॉट पाठवून दे एररचा.
ओके.
वैष्णवी, व्हॉट डू यू थिंक? वी नीड टू डिस्कस दिस इश्यू, बिकॉज असं जर केलं तर तुम्हाला जास्त फायदा होईल. अदरवाईज हे पटकन शिकून टाकायचं आणि रेकॉर्डिंग तुम्हाला पाठवून द्यायची आणि तुम्ही पुन्हा परफॉर्म करणार. याच्यामध्ये थोडेसे प्रॉब्लेम्स क्रिएट होतात. तुमचं इमॅजिनेशन वाढत नाही. We need to focus, or we need to increase your imagination, because everything will be depend on the imagination, and our branch is imaginary. We already saw the definition of software. We need to convert our imaginary part into reality part by writing some set of rules. We need to think either मी असं थोडी म्हणतोय की it is punishable. Okay, so just we need to make answer whether it is will generate yes 10, 20, compile time error and run
Sir,
time. I will give you a fifth number option also. Don't know.
sir,
Please
it will
specify.
generate 10.
It will generate 10. Okay, who's this? Meena,
Sir,
this screen
Shruti.
is clearly. Okay, Shruti, it will generate 10. Next, Ashpak, what do you think?
Runtime error, sir.
Runtime error. Bhagyashri, Kalyani, we need to increase our power. Kalyani, unmute yourself.
Sir, it will generate 10.
It will generate 10. Bhagyashri, okay. Namrata, what do you think?
Compile time error, sir.
Okay, compile time. Kalyani said compile time error. Namrata,
सर तिथे सेमिकोलॉन पाहिजे ना स्ट्रिंग आर्कच्या नंतर ते ब्रॅकेट कम्प्लीट झाल्यावर
इथे
एरर येईल येस सर
इथे मेन मेथडला सेमिकोलॉन नसतं. Make a note of that. We do not provide any semicolon to the main method because this one is our main method. Without this method, we cannot able to execute a single program. So this is the answer. We cannot use semicolon in front of method. Which method? Main method only. For normal method, also we cannot able to use. Because the termination, when we use semicolon, that means it will terminate your statement. And if your statement is terminated, that means this code will not execute it. Okay. So that semicolon will be used at only variable level and statement levels. So Namrata said that it will generate a compile time error. Pooja, just imagine.
20.
Which one?
20.
20. Okay. Pratik, what do you think? Join the
Sir, 20.
20. Great. Poonam. Okay, I will explain that concept. See, make a note of that. Here I'm declaring two variables. Sorry, one variable. In first case, here I'm trying to see definition क्या बोलती है? Name given to a storage area where we can store our values in the particular location. For example, so is it screen is visible? Paint is visible?
सर
Sir.
This one is my storage. Assume that. Okay, ऐसा ही storage होता है, ऐसा नहीं है. So assume that this one is your storage, and in that storage, I'm trying to save my value. Okay. So for example, here I have one variable var1 which contains 10. And what will be the definition of variable? Name given to a storage area where we can store the value. Assume that this one is your storage area. Here I will write storage area. Okay, what will be the name of your storage area? var1. यही बताया ना डेफिनेशन में. अब नाउ इसके अंदर क्या स्टोर करते हैं हम? वैल्यू 10. तो ये वेरिएबल की डेफिनेशन है नेम गिवन टू अ स्टोरेज एरिया वेयर वी कैन स्टोर द वैल्यूज whose value can be changed during execution of program. अब ये मैंने फर्स्ट लाइन है, कर्सर मेरा यहाँ तक आया, इसने रेडी कर दिया, वैल्यू स्टोर होगी. यहाँ तक कोई भी एरर नहीं है. दैट मीन्स फर्स्ट टाइम init, initialization. Init stands for init. So this one is a second time init. This one is a second time init. Okay. So is it a valid way? Yes, it is a valid way. अब यहाँ क्या होगा? स्टोरेज एरिया तो वही है. सेकंड वैल्यू कौन सी है? var1 के अंदर ही 20 वैल्यू है. var1 के अंदर कितनी वैल्यू है? 20 वैल्यू है. That means this value will be override. This value will be override. Override का कंसेप्ट पता है आपको? कि ये पहले 10 था, अब इसमें क्या स्टोर हो जाएगा? 20. व्हाट अबाउट 10? 10 रिमूव हो जाएगा बिकॉज यहां तक ठीक था. यहाँ पे वैल्यू क्या आ जाएगी? जस्ट 1 मिनट, आई विल राइट. That means it will be stored. Var will contain, earlier it was a 10, later on it will as 20. Or फिर after that I will create main method and in that I'm trying to save the value. I'm trying to call the statement and I'm printing the value. So we'll get the output as 20. We did not get any output as a compile time error. We did not get value as a 10, the value as a error, and don't know. Why? Because this is the simple concept of variable overriding. Okay, वेरिएबल ओवरराइड हो रहा है, वेरिएबल का नाम सेम है, उसके अंदर वैल्यू चेंज हो रही है. ऐसा हो सकता है कि यस, ऐसा हो सकता है, कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं, बिकॉज डेफिनेशन में अंदर ही कहा है a name given to a storage area where we can store our values whose value can be changed during the execution of program. वहां तो चेंज हो सकती है, यहाँ भी हो सकती है. व्हाट डू यू थिंक प्रतीक, हो सकती है कि नहीं हो सकती है? आई थिंक होना चाहिए. कंफर्म आंसर पता है कि नहीं, दिस प्रोग्राम इज राइट, दिस प्रोग्राम इज रॉन्ग. डज एनीवन हैव कॉन्फिडेंस? किसी के पास ये कॉन्फिडेंस है कि नहीं ये प्रोग्राम एग्जीक्यूट होगा?
सर जो
तो ऑप्शन
इनिशियलाइज किए वो मेन मेथड में करनी चाहिए ना, कि ऊपर
कौन
भी
सा
कर सकते मेथड के, वो इंट.
इनिशियलाइजेशन?
हाँ, इनिशियलाइजेशन मेन मेथड के अंदर
ऊपर भी कर सकते, इसके अंदर भी कर सकते, डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट.
होता, देन इट विल प्रिंट 20.
देन इट विल प्रिंट
20.
20. अब क्या प्रिंट है? सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई विल शो यू, और फिर उसके बाद में उसके चेंजेस करते हैं. Java C, name of the program, final demo.java C. We did not get any compile time error. Why? नहीं. See, where one is already defined. ऐसा कभी हुआ था क्या सी लैंग्वेज में एक ही वेरिएबल हम दो बार डिक्लेयर करते हैं? यस और नो? ठीक, प्रतीक, पूजा, जिन्होंने जिन्होंने 20 आंसर दिया उनके लिए है. Can I able to create same variable in C, C++? No. Make a note of that. We cannot able to create two variables at a time having same name. We cannot able to create. अब यही concept Python में valid है क्या? Yes, it is valid. Java में valid है क्या? नहीं, it is not valid. So here I will make a comment. Now tell me which answer will. Just 1 minute. थोड़ा सा change करता हूँ इसके अंदर. Now answer. अभी भी कंपाइल टाइम एरर आएगा? नहीं, पहले एरर दिखाता हूं आपको, इससे पढ़ना है. एरर वेरिएबल var is already defining class demo. वेरिएबल var सेकंड टाइम एरर कहां जनरेट हुआ है? सेकंड लाइन पे. ओके, और व्हाट इज द एरर नेम? वेरिएबल var1 is already defined. So if you want to declare a variable in a program, then we need to declare one time only. We cannot use second time. ओके, ये बेसिक क्वेश्चन था सी का. वेरी बेसिक क्वेश्चन, और इसी टाइप के क्वेश्चंस आपको पूछे जाते हैं. सो व्हेन वी कंपाइल इट, नाउ वी डोंट हैव एनी एरर. 1 मिनट. सेव नहीं. चेक आउट. See, again we get the variable in the value of variable plus final demo non-static variable cannot reference from the static contents. ऐसा नहीं होता है. 1 minute. Non-static variable cannot reference from one static contents. This lecture we already did that. Requirement string string just of this also. ओके कल ही पढ़ाया था हमने, because that particular variable is not accessible. Why? Because we are not created any object, that's why. Okay, so ये non static है, इसकी वजह से ये error दे रहा है. तो here we need to pass the static, otherwise we need to create a object. Okay, make a note of that. We need to create the object or just we need to call as static. Static ही कॉल करेंगे, कुछ इशू नहीं होता है इसके अंदर, या otherwise we'll create the object also. Okay, प्रोग्राम किए सबने and non-static. We get the
Yes, sir.
value of variable is 10. ये कल के प्रोग्राम करो, ये कल का कंसेप्ट ही है. So this one is a static variable. Why? Because it is a static, because here when we declare a one variable, if you want to call that variable, then we need to call by using object only. Okay, इस केस में हमें object create करना पड़ता है. Okay, so that's why we get the error. अगर object नहीं create करना है, then we will use static. Okay, मैंने ये simple क्यों बता रहा हूँ आपको कि because just we need to call as a normal variable program. Now we need to call as a what do we say, final variable. So here I will use final. Okay. When we use a final keyword before that particular variable, then that value will be a constant. Make a note of that. That value will be a constant. Okay. So अभी ये value constant हो गई, ये value change नहीं होगी. Make a note of that. That value will not be changed. Okay. And also make a note of that when we create any constant inside in program, that value must be initialized with certain value. That value must be initialized with certain value. अगर नहीं होता है, नहीं करते हो, तो क्या होगा? It will generate an compile time error. क्यों? Because हम कह रहे हैं उसकी कि particular variable की value fix है. Particular variable, whether it is a var1, whether it is a var2, whether it is var3, that value is a fix. और हम उसकी value provide नहीं कर रहे. Like that. We are not providing the value of that variable one as a fixed value. So in that case, it will generate a error. Okay, so अगर हम ऐसा करते हैं तो it will generate an error. दोनों प्रोग्राम में simultaneously दिखाता हूँ, फिर से will compile it and run that program. We get the value as a 10. Okay, अब हम इसे change करते हैं and just I'm trying to declare a variable. In that case, run that program. See, we get the error. Variable var are not initialized in the default constructor. ये constructor का concept हम बाद में देखेंगे, but make a note of that. Variable var1 is not initialized. That means if you want to create any constant, it is a mandatory to initialize the value. Because हम क्या कह रहे हैं उसे कि उसकी वैल्यू नहीं चेंज होगी. यहाँ मैं वैल्यू नहीं दे रहा हूँ उसकी, अगर वैल्यू मैंने प्रोवाइड नहीं की तो इट विल जनरेट एन एरर. सो इसकी वजह से इसे वैल्यू देना पड़ेगा. अगर मैं यहाँ से स्टैटिक कीवर्ड निकालता हूँ, now I will remove that static keyword. Now if you want to access this, then what should we need to do? We need to create an object. Object of whom? Object of class. ये क्लास मैंने पढ़ाया नहीं आपको डिटेल में, because इसका नेक्स्ट बिट ही क्लास है. So we need to create an object of that class, and after that we need to call by using this method. Okay, so here we need to create the final demo equals to new table, close, and just here we'll call the reference with object. Here I will use obj. इतना याद रखो कि आपको अगर प्रोग्राम करना है कांस्टेंट से, if you want to create a constant program, then it is a mandatory to use a final keyword. See, value will be 20. Earlier when we run that program, we get the error that value is not reference. It's true because it is a non-static variable. अब जो मैं पढ़ा रहा हूँ आपको ये याद रखना है कि अगर आपने इसमें मास्टर करना है तो रेगुलर बेसिस पे जितने भी प्रोग्राम हो रहे हैं वो आपको डेली बेसिस में एग्जीक्यूट करने पड़ेंगे, अदरवाइज आपको ये समझ में नहीं आएगा. सो दिस इज अबाउट फाइनल कीवर्ड. इस पे क्वेश्चंस बहुत होते हैं. Why we use a final keyword? What happen if we use at a variable level? What happen if we use at a method level? What happen if we use at a class level, like that? So ये difference is clear. So did you get the concept of final? Everyone, chat box में आप type कर सकते हो. If you have any query, let me know. We'll discuss about that. Otherwise, we will start the next bit. Okay. What about others?
Yes, sir.
Radhesham, did you get that concept?
Yes, sir.
Okay. ठीक है, चलो नेक्स्ट बिट मूव करते हैं. ये जो मैंने एग्जांपल बताया ना, सिमिलरली मेक अ नोट ऑफ दैट. व्हेन आई ट्राइंग टू एग्जीक्यूट दैट सेम प्रोग्राम इन अ पाइथन, then it will be executed. The value will be overridden in Python having same name, because Python में ना primitive data type और non primitive data type के ना थोड़े से concepts अलग है. So in that, when we use a reference variable having some different value, so in that the value will be override, because once we initialize the value, the new object will be created in Python. Okay, so ये याद रखना है आपको, ये difference. Okay, so this is the example. Final variable initialization. I will do final keyword data type variable name as a v1 and value, or we can do like that also. Final data type, whether it is a int, float, we already discussed about that. Variable 1 uski value, variable 2 uski value, variable and uski value. Make a note of that. When we use a filer keyword, it is mandatory to provide the value also. The program basics. So अभी आपने देखा होगा, in that case just I will show you. In that case here I am trying to use system.out.println. ये भी क्वेश्चन इंटरव्यू में पूछा जाता है कि why we use system.out.println. In a C language we are using a printf, and we already know that the printf is a predefined function which is used to print some value. In C++ we are using the cout, which is used to display the output on output screen. Similarly in Java we're using system.out.println. But why we cannot use why we can use system.out.println? Instead of that println, can I able to use xyz? Instead of that out, can I use abc? The answer is no. इसका meaning क्या है? So make a note of that. Everything will be created in Java is predefined. Okay, so these functions are created in Java is predefined. So here is one class is available, print stream class is available, and in that print stream class the println function is available. This one is a method. Okay, it is a predefined class. So I will show you in the diagram so you will get the better idea. Okay. So there will be a class, assume that this is a class, and the class main class is called as a system. This one is a main class system. Inside that, and this system is a static class. Make a note of that. System is a इसके अंदर के जो डेटा मेंबर्स है ना वो स्टैटिक है. Now there is another class, having the name print stream, and in that print stream class there is a method. Inside that print stream class there is a method called as a println. It's a structure. Okay. So like if you want to display the information on console, then we need to use this stuff. Okay, so like कैसे work होता है? If you want to call any method, then we need to write that method name. Okay, so here just I will option. So here I will write. So Assume that this one is a class. So inside that, if you want to call any method, if you want to call in Java, if you want to call the method, then we need to write that method name. Here I will write the println as a method name. Okay. So before that method name, if you want to call, because this println method, in that println method is a non-static method. That means if you want to call that method, then we need to call by using the upper class. Class name is a printstream. So इसके object के through ही ये method call होगी. So in that case, printstream is a class and the object name is out. I'm trying to use out. And to call that, we will use a dot. Okay, ऐसे ही object dot ही हम method call करते हैं ना in that section. So for a previous program, if you want to call that variable, then in that case here I'm calling through the object dot variable name. Similarly, here I will call out. So out is an object of printstream class. Make a note of that. It is not object of println. Println is a method. Println is a method, and if you want to call that println method, then we need to use object. Object of whom? Object of class printstream. So that's why here I will use a printstream. Okay. So here I will use one dot. Okay. Now we need to call by using a class. Why? Because of static. So static हमने पढ़ा था कि अगर तुमको static call करना है, then we need to provide a static. So here I will write what. Here we need to call by using a static. So what will be the static name of class? System. So ऐसे function work होता है. System is a static class. That's why here we give out is an object of printstream class and println is a method of printstream class. Okay. So ऐसे वर्क होता है और यही मैंने थ्योरी में भी लिखा है. आप देख भी सकते हैं या स्नैप भी निकाल सकते हैं इसका. See, system.out.println, this statement is used for displaying the data on message onto the console monitor. Here println is a predefined instance. Instance is a method of which class? Printstream class. So println is a method of printstream class. To call this method, we require to call object. Okay, called as a printstream object called printstream class. That means we need to call the object of printstream class. The object of printstream class is called out. Object क्या है printstream का? Out. It's created as a static data member. Static कौन सा है? System. So in a system class. So that's why we use system.out.println. इस पे question 101% as a being a fresher ये पूछा जाता है. Okay. Why we use system.out.println? What is the reason? So in that we need to specify very briefly. Println is a method. I will explain. Println is a method of class printstream. Out is object of printstream class, and we need to call by using a static member. That's why here we give system as a class name. Like that stuff we need to specify. Like यहाँ मैंने explain किया है. Class name, data number, user defined methods, public static, void main. Okay, so in that class name is there, and after that in public static void main, this main method will contain the system.out.println. So this is a very basic structure. So इसके अंदर block of statement is nothing but system.out.println. So this is a structure how we will declare the class. So first of all we need to use a class keyword. Class is a keyword, make a note of that. Class क्या है? Keyword है. And after that we will provide the class name. Data member function. Data member means what? Variables. Member function means what? Functions. Okay. And we need to call that functions and data members inside the main method. Is there? Write a Java program to display a message of welcome to. We already did that. This one is a requirement of Java developing Java program. We require an operating system, any operating system. For software, we required JDK, J2SDK. अब ये previous diagram थी इसकी वजह से, but right now we can install JDK 17 also. We can do that. And IDE हम आगे चल के swing में use करेंगे. Integrated Development Environment IDE. Okay. So हमारे पास IDE है Edit Plus, Eclipse and NetBeans. सो मेजरली नेटबीन्स एंड इक्लिप्स यूज किए जाते हैं डेवलपमेंट के लिए, प्रोजेक्ट के लिए. Don't worry about that idea. I will explain each and every bit, but just understanding purpose के लिए ये है. So Java program execute कैसे होता है, उसका flow क्या है? Write a source code and save it a file with an extension of .java. सभी प्रोग्राम आपको जो लिखना है आप बना दो और उसे एक्सटेंशन के साथ में .java से सेव कर दो. Once we save, we need to compile that code. Once we save, we need to compile the Java program. Okay. I will compile syntax Java C file name. Okay. और उसके आगे Java. Example Java C first.java. Okay. तो ये फ्लो डायग्राम है. उसे कंपाइल करने के बाद is there any error? अगर एरर जनरेट है, find the modify and save the program. जो भी एरर है उसे सॉल्व करो और फिर से सेव करो, फिर से कंपाइल करो. अगर नहीं है देन Java generates an intermediate file. इस पे भी क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है, what is a intermediate file? Byte code. Okay, then it will generate a byte code. Intermediate file को ही क्या कहा जाता है? Intermediate file को ही byte code कहा जाता है. Java generates an intermediate file code extension of dot class. तो जैसे भी आप देख सकते हो यहाँ, just I will show you. We save in the program D drive. D drive के अंदर Java नाम का हमारा फोल्डर है. इसके अंदर हम Java का प्रोग्राम लिखते हैं. When we compile that, it will create an intermediate code dot class. See, demo non-static Java उसका intermediate compile होने के बाद, demo static var Java उसका intermediate convert होके final का हमने प्रोग्राम किया था तो उसका कोड आ गया क्लास में. That means it is an intermediate code. So once we compile that, we get the intermediate code. Now we need to run that code. So run the Java program, Java or file name. That's it. Result will be displayed. So this is a flow diagram. कैसे Java run होता है. This is about the final keyword and just the class structure. Now onwards, we'll start the object-oriented concepts of Java. Okay. So what is a class? Class is a way of binding the data member associated methods, data members and member functions. We can say that associated method भी कहा जाता है या member functions भी कहा जाता है. A class is a way of binding the data and associated method in a single unit. In a single unit. A Java program, if you want to develop, then that should be developed with respect to class only. ये भी क्वेश्चन हमने अर्लियर देखा था कि विदाउट क्लास वी कैन नॉट एबल टू क्रिएट एनी जावा प्रोग्राम. विदाउट क्लास देयर इज अ नो जावा प्रोग्राम. Like unlike C++, in C++ we can create a Java, we can create a program with class also and without class also. That's why C++ called as a procedure oriented as well as object oriented. When we talk about the Java, Java is a fully object oriented language. That means we cannot able to create a single program without a class. This is the definition. So how will create the program and how will do. So in Java oriented program, generally we write two types of methods. They are member method and non-member method. So Java के अंदर हम variables के बारे में तो हमने पढ़ लिया है, static variable and non-static variable. वैसे भी हमें method के बारे में पढ़ना है. In the member method is one which comes under the scope of class. In Java we use only member method. Non-member method are those which are not comes under the scope of class. अभी आपको पता होगा थोड़ा सा आपने C++ पढ़ा. In that case there is a scope resolution operator in the C++, and inside that we can declare a function outside the class in C++, and that outside functions will be called inside a main method. So ये C++ के बारे में बता रहा हूं मैं. But when we talk about the Java, we cannot able to declare member functions methods outside the class. Outside the class, हम methods ये declare नहीं कर सकते. So that's why. So member method is one which comes under the scope. That means within a class. Okay, and Java use only member method. Non-member method we are not using. Okay. इसमें difference कैसे होता है? Like that I will show you. Example, this one is a class and I am trying to declare one method like in C++. So C++ में हम कैसे लिखते हैं, like hash include string dot h. So inside that we define a class ABC, and method public semicolon. So this is the way. If you want to define that method inside that C++, then we need to use a return type as a void, that the class name as a class name क्या लिखा है मैंने, ABCD is that scope resolution operator and PQR याद आ रहा है तो like that we can define in C++. हम C++ में डिक्लेयर करते हैं. ओके, सो ये जो पार्ट है, इट इज नॉट अ मेंबर ऑफ दैट क्लास. ओके, that particular method is defined outside the class. So ऐसे जावा में वैलिड नहीं है, जावा में ऐसा वैलिड नहीं है. दैट्स व्हाई we cannot able to define a member function outside the class. इसकी वजह से हम आउटसाइड की क्लास डिफाइन भी नहीं कर सकते और वो एग्जीक्यूट भी नहीं होगा, वो एग्जीक्यूट एरर जनरेट करेगा. Make a note of that. There are two types of methods: member method and non-member method. Okay, we use a member method only. So here is a class. Assume that अभी data member function किसे कहते हैं? So class is a new way of binding data member associated with a member function in a single unit, or just wrapping up, or we can say that it is a collection of. अगर ये definition थोड़ा सा heavy लग रहा है आपको class का, तो इसको new definition भी ऐसा कर सकते हैं. Class is a nothing but collection of data member and member function into single unit. ऐसा भी कह सकते हैं. Don't worry about that. I will give you one example. So here I have selected a class as enable. So what will be the data members? Data members, properties, attributes. एक ही नाम है इसके. तो कोई उसे property कहता है, कोई इसे data member कहता है, कोई इसे attribute कह सकता है. So animal के क्या हो सकते हैं? What will be the name of animal? Whether it is a tiger, whether it is a lion. What is the number of legs? So for example, if it is a rabbit, then 4 legs. So ऐसा कुछ हो सकता है, 3 legs के भी हो सकते हैं, 2 legs के भी हो सकते हैं, single legs से भी हो सकते हैं. Assume that. So animal. And what will be the color? Whether it is a red, whether it is a orange, whether it is a blue, whether it is a brown, like that stuff. And method is nothing but behavior. So like, does that animal eat? Does that animal walk? Does that animal sleep? Like that. So ऐसे हमें क्लास बनाने पड़ते हैं. Like that we can able to create the class. What will be the syntax? So here we need to define a class. यहाँ small ही है, keyword है, class. Class is a keyword. So here we'll use class name. So capital नहीं है, small है. After that class name, curly brace open, curly brace close. In that we'll declare a variable. Inside that we declare a member function. Make a note of that. At the end of class we need to use semicolon. At the end of class we need to use semicolon. It is a not mandatory. It is optional. सिंटैक्स में बताया है सेमीकोलन यूज कर सकते हैं. आप सेमीकोलन से भी प्रोग्राम रन कर सकते हैं. जस्ट आई विल शो यू. सो हियर आई एम नॉट यूजिंग अ सेमीकोलन. क्लियर? नाउ आई विल यूज द सेमीकोलन. आई विल execute that program one more time. This one is my terminal. So compile it. We get the same out. Okay, so इसके क्लास के रिप्रेजेंटेशन के अंदर और जस्ट ये भी नहीं है. दिस वन इज अ सिंटैक्स. सिंटैक्स दिखा रहा हूं मैं आपको. फंक्शन डेटा मेंबर एंड मेंबर फंक्शंस लिख लिया आपने. तो ये एंड में ऑप्शनल होता है. सेमीकोलन इज अ ऑप्शनल फॉर अ क्लास. मेक नोट ऑफ दैट. ओके. After that, the class contain two parts, namely variable declaration, method declaration. ये हम देखेंगे कैसे होता है. तो while doing a program, we'll check. This is about a class. Okay, this is about the class in Java. This note is important for the interview questions. In Java, memory space for the dynamic member will be created on heap memory, dynamic memory. So memory space for the method will be creating on the stack memory. ये questions पूछे जाते हैं. Okay, अब इसके अंदर questions कैसा है कि for example when we declare a variable, that variable information will be use heap memory. There are two types. अगर आपने डा पढ़ा है उसके अंदर आपको heap memory और stack memory. The data will be stored in the stack type. Okay, और heap memory ये दो different concept होते हैं. So when we create the object, how we will create the object? Class name, object name is equals to new. When we use a new keyword, the dynamic memory will be allocated. And dynamic memory means what? Heap memory. The memory required for variable. Okay. And the memory space for the method, it will be created by using a stack memory. ये difference पूछते हैं कि मेथड कौन सी मेमोरी यूज करते हैं एंड वेरिएबल्स कौन से मेमोरी यूज करते हैं, इतना याद रखो. Object creation, what is the object? In order to store the data for data members of a class, we must create the object. Okay. Instance is a mechanism of allocating some sufficient amount of memory space for data members of a class. Here I'm not using for a word member function, because here we need to create a dynamic memory, and dynamic memory is a heap memory. Okay, so that will be allocated for the only data members. I will create the object class name, object declaration, and is equals to new class name. Okay, so this new operator is known as a dynamic memory allocator. In order to create a memory space in Java, ये भी question पूछा जाता है. I will create the memory, dynamic memory in Java. So we need to specify by using a new keyword. We need to use a new keyword. Okay. So let's do some examples. अभी ये theoretical बहुत हो गया. So here we'll do what? We'll perform some operation which will perform. We say which will perform some multiplications. Okay. So just class UL. Inside that, just I will show you. This is the way I will create the class. So first of all, we'll save the program. Copy, save, double quote. Double quote से क्या होता है? अभी यहाँ मेरे पास extension नहीं है. Right now आ गया है. So अगर नहीं भी रहा तो ये क्या कर लेगा? ये save कर लेगा. So set that just name of the class and Java type कर दीजिए. Automatically the program will be saved. See mul.java यहाँ दिखाई दे रहा है आपको. Okay, so here we'll declare the variable data member. So like I will do num1 is equals to 10. और आप एक ही प्रोग्राम के अंदर भी कर सकते हैं. यहाँ num1 num2 res result. This one is a variable declaration. Now we'll call for method. एक method call करते हैं हम. तो access specifier की जरूरत नहीं है यहाँ. void mul नाम की फंक्शन है. While just 1 minute here, नाम का एक फंक्शन यूज करते हैं. नाम कुछ भी दे सकते हैं. And inside that I want to declare one variable res result. Here I will call res is equals to num1 multiplied by num2. बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर, ये प्रोग्राम नहीं समझना है आपको, वे समझना है जस्ट. This is the way to declare the variable. This is the way to declare the function. Okay, and this one is a class. Here I will use semicolon. It is not mandatory. I already told that. Here I will use a function called as a system out dot println round bracket. Here I will call the multiplication is colon separation by using the plus, and here we'll call the, here we will pass the res. That's it. Will be stored in res. Now we need to call the main method. The main method call करना पड़ेगा हमें. So here we'll write the public static by main, you cannot able to change. यहाँ स्ट्रिंग ही क्यों यूज करते हैं ये भी बारे में बाद में देखेंगे हम, just of an array variable argument में. Now we all know that it is a non-static variable. Is it a static variable? No, it is a non-static variable. Does this method is a static? No, it is a non-static method. If it is a non-static variable and non-static method, then we need to create the object. If it is a static, then we need to call the object. There is no need to create the object if it is a static. So here, what should I do? I will create the object. So what will be the name of class? Will the name of UL is equals to new UL round bracket. So when we use a new keyword, right now we are doing a object creation. अब क्या कर रहे हैं हम? Object creation, object creation कर रहे हैं. That means the heap memory will be allocated to whom? The heap memory will be allocated for dynamic, and the stack memory will be allocated for memory. Okay, so method. So make a note of that. That dynamic memory allocated, it will allocate the memory. Now what will be the object? Object की जगह हम मुझे लिखते हैं CMUL है ना हमारा. Just 1 minute. CMUL है, न्यू नहीं है. MUL space OBJ. Its name is MUL OBJ. So here I will use OBJ, but what will be the name of method? Can. That's it. आगे चल के हम फंक्शन ओवरलोडिंग ओवरराइडिंग के भी प्रोग्राम करने, तो उससे concept clear हो जाएगी. So now this one is complete. So this is the way to create the object. Okay, class name, object name is equals to new class name. Also एक another method is available. I will explain in later. ये अगर प्रोग्राम करते हो तो इसके बाद में मैं explain करूंगा. उसे nameless object कहा जाता है. By using nameless object, we can also execute the program. Tomorrow we'll discuss about that. So this way is the creation of object, and this is the calling of method. This one is a data member, and the class contain data member and member function. So here I will write what? Member function. Data member is there and member function is there. Save it. I'm trying to execute that program. Java C, the name of program is mul.java. By it, check does we have any error? No, we don't have any error. Java mul. We get the output as multiplication. 20 multiplied by 10, 200. We get the multiplication is. So यही program को हम चलो let's do one thing here. This is the way to create the object. इसे name object कहा जाता है. Here I will write named object. Name object कहा जाता है. Nameless के बारे में बता देता हूँ. जैसे आज परफॉर्म ही कर रहे हैं तो कैसे करते हैं? Directly new name of class mul. That what will be the name of method? Can. इसे कहते हैं nameless. Less देगा, पर जस्ट हम थोड़ा सा कंटेंट चेंज करेंगे डिफरेंस दिखाई देने के लिए. सेव इट. ओके, इसे नेम का क्यों कहा जाता है? सी, व्हेन वी क्रिएट अ डायनामिक मेमोरी, दैट इंफॉर्मेशन विल बी स्टोर्ड इन ओबीजे. we create a dynamic memory, that information will be stored in a obj. So इसका ऑब्जेक्ट का क्या हुआ? obj. So that's why here we provide a named object. इसे कहा जाता है named object. Here I am trying to create a dynamic memory, but I am not storing that memory in anywhere. Directly by using a dot operator, I am calling a function. Okay, here also dynamic memory will be created, but that information, that dynamic memory will not store in any object. That's why here we call nameless object. और ये बहुत कम स्टूडेंट को ही पता होता है, और ये टाइप के क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं. How will I execute a program? So in that case we need to specify answer. We can execute a program by creating an object, by creating an object or without creating an object also. So इसमें इंटरव्यू कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछ सकता है कि how will execute a program without an object. Then in that case we need to specify the answer. We can execute a program by nameless object. By nameless object. इसे सेव करता हूं मैं, एग्जीक्यूट करके देता हूं, compile, done and re-execute. See 20 multiplied by 20 400. अर्लियर मैंने यहाँ कमेंट लिखा है, तो कमेंट से आप देख सकते हो कि मैंने ऑब्जेक्ट का नाम स्टोर नहीं किया है, स्टिल आई एम एग्जीक्यूटिंग माय प्रोग्राम. ओके, सो ये नेमलेस का प्रोग्राम. सो जस्ट आई विल सेव इट, सेंड करने के लिए इजी जाए. सेव दैट क्लास. प्रोग्राम सेव करना है, फाइनल कीवर्ड का है ना. फाइनल दोनों प्रोग्राम्स हमने सेव कर लिए. जस्ट लेट मी नो वन थिंग कि दिस इज अबाउट द क्लास एंड ऑब्जेक्ट. नाउ यू नीड टू डू द डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ प्रोग्राम्स. अब आपको डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ प्रोग्राम से रन करना है विद द हेल्प ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट आल्सो, विद द हेल्प ऑफ नेमलेस ऑब्जेक्ट आल्सो. सो जस्ट मुझे एक पता प्रोग्राम बताओ, जस्ट विल डू दैट प्रोग्राम सो यू विल गेट द आइडिया. एग्जांपल कैसे कौन सा प्रोग्राम करना है. So let's we can say that to find, here I will write program. अब आपके सी के कंसेप्ट अच्छे हैं, सी प्लस प्लस के अच्छे, उस हिसाब से मैं थोड़ा सा एडवांस सी प्रोग्राम लिख रहा हूँ. राइट जावा प्रोग्राम टू फाइंड इवन नंबर. यूजर से एक्सेप्ट करना वगैरह ये बाद में देखेंगे हम कैसे करते हैं क्या है. इसके लिए थोड़ा सा टाइम है बिकॉज वी नीड टू लर्न अबाउट डेटा इनपुट स्ट्रीम क्लासेस. लेटर ऑन वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट दैट. Okay, so to accept the input, we need to create data input stream, or we need to create a scanner class. ये थोड़े से बाद में देखेंगे. So write a Java program to find even number, okay, whether the number is even or odd. So class even just we'll do one program also and we'll close for today. So आपको आपके हिसाब से प्रोग्राम बनाना है. ओके यार, हिसाब से क्या लगता है, जस्ट आपने बनाने के बाद में मुझे दिखाना है. ग्रुप पे भी पोस्ट कर सकते हैं. Here I will do what? I will declare one variable print num whose value is 10. We know that this one is an even number, but still we need to check whether this number is even or odd by using computer. Okay. So here I will call one function void show. Inside that I will write a business logic for that. So अभी if मैंने आपको पढ़ाया नहीं, I will taught you how will if will be executed. But still I want to check for this program only if num. What is the business logic to find out the even number? Does anyone know about that? मैं भूल गया हूँ. I don't know about that. What is the business logic to find out the even number?
Sir, divisible by 2.
So assume that this one is your variable num. Let me know कैसे करते हैं. Solution 1. Num divisible by 2. आगे this किसने आंसर बताया था, ये num divisible by 2. Yes. Yeah. आगे बोलो, उसके आगे लिखना है या इतना ही है?
Divisible by 2 equals to 1.
Equals to 1. This is a business logic to find out the even number. ओंकारेश्वर, नम्रता, प्रतीक.
Yes, sir.
What is the business logic to find the even number?
Sir, we can compare it to the remainder, sir. Num percentage to double equals to 0.
Okay. This is the way by using that we can find out. Any other solution to find out the even number? Or just we have only one option? Can I say that like that? Num mod by, अब आपके सामने ही रखता हूं मैं, mod by 2 not equals to 1. ये फाइंड करेगा कि इवन नंबर?
Yes, sir.
This logic. Because when we divide any number, we get either 0 or 1. Is it right? This is also business logic to find out the even or odd number. Also, num divided by 2 multiplied by 2 is equals to num. Also business logic to find out the number. Is it true? बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस है, आप पढ़ते नहीं अच्छे से. बिटवाइज ऑपरेटर से भी फाइंड आउट कर सकते हैं आप. नम बिटवाइज एंड किसी को पता है बिटवाइज? ठीक है, ये आप फाइंड आउट करना. हाउ विल फाइंड इवन नंबर बाय यूजिंग बिटवाइज ऑपरेटर? अभी ये मैं एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ इट इज अ 10 नंबर, then 10 mod by 2 equal to 0. We all know that even number होगा तो रिमाइंडर 0 आएगा, मतलब ये यहाँ वर्क होता है. Second, 10 mod by 2 is not equal to 1. When we divide any number, mod any number, we get either 0 or 1. So यहाँ not equal to लिखा है. not equal to 1 मतलब obvious वो क्या होगा? 0 ही होगा. obvious वो 0 ही होगा. तो मैं तीनों एग्जांपल के साथ में आपको रन करके दिखाऊं. तीसरा कौन सा है? num 10 divided by 2 5 multiplied by 2 10 is equals to 10. True. अब odd number को देखते हैं. 11 divided by 2 we get the remainder as a 5 multiplied by 2 10 is equals to 11. False. ये तीनों वे से मैं आपको रन करके दिखाता हूँ ये प्रोग्राम. और आफ्टर दैट जस्ट आप परफॉर्म करो. This one is my business logic. Remove this. If num mod by 2 equal to 0, if this condition satisfies, here write down system.out.println, in round bracket E1. Okay, so and terminate that statement, and after that create object of class. अब nameless से करो या name से करो. Okay, so just I will run it by using a nameless. इसकी प्रैक्टिस भी होनी चाहिए आपको. शो बट ये डायरेक्ट लिखा है मैंने, एग्जीक्यूट होगा क्या? नहीं. वी नीड टू कॉल बाय यूजिंग अ पब्लिक मेथड. पब्लिक स्टैटिक void in round bracket string gs of an array, और इसके बाद में ये कर्ली ब्रेस ओपन कर्ली ब्रेस क्लोज और यहाँ कर्ली ब्रेस क्लोज. This is the way to execute the program. In it, save that program, execute that program. Java, what will be the name of program? E1. ये जस्ट आपकी क्यूरियोसिटी बढ़ाने के लिए मैं रन कर रहा हूँ इसे, बिकॉज हमने डिसीजन मेकिंग पढ़ा नहीं. आपने पढ़ा होगा सी प्लस से सेम डिसीजन मेकिंग यहाँ भी है. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो एग्जीक्यूट नहीं होता. So we get the output as E1. चलो नंबर चेंज करके 11 करते हैं. सेव करो. एग्जीक्यूट नहीं होगा बिकॉज यहाँ मैंने कोड नहीं लिखा है. सो यहाँ मुझे एल्स का भी कोड लिखना पड़ेगा या आउटपुट नहीं आएगा. देखो 11 नंबर देने पे मुझे आउटपुट नहीं आएगा. वही वी डिड नॉट गेट आउटपुट बिकॉज क्योंकि हमने ऑड नंबर के लिए कुछ लिखा ही नहीं है, सी एम्प्टी आउटपुट आया है। इसकी वजह से यहाँ मैं लिख सकता हूँ एल्स कर दो, क्या होगा थोड़ा सा, अगर नहीं है तो डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट, मैं आपको पढ़ दूंगा। फिर से एक बार रन करो and just execute that program, you get the odd. Okay, so this एक बिजनेस लॉजिक मैंने बताया आपको। दूसरा बिजनेस लॉजिक मैं यहाँ लिखता हूँ, mod by 2 is not equal to 0, वैल्यू 20। सेम रन करते हो ये प्रोग्राम, गेट द सेम आउटपुट, सी ऑड। ऑड क्यों मिला ये?
Sir, not equal to 1.
हाँ, not equal to 1, and it run even, we get the output as even। ये भी बिजनेस लॉजिक बताया। और दूसरा मैंने जो आपके ही स्टूडेंट ने क्रिएट किया था, हर नेम इज आकांक्षा, उसके टास्क दिया था आकांक्षा वांगी का, उसने ये ये लॉजिक डेवलप किया था, num divided by 2 multiplied by 2 equals to num, and प्रॉपर वर्क होता है। और यहाँ मैं एंटर 40 इवन नंबर, सो इवन। ओके, अगर यहाँ मैं 1 करता हूँ, सो ऐसे डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ प्रोग्राम है। अगर आपको सी प्लस प्लस लगता है थोड़ा सा आता है, या वी कैन से दैट सी आता है, तो जिसकी जो कंसेप्ट है सी, और वी कैन से दैट सी प्लस प्लस के, तो आप ये जावा के साथ में यूज कर सकते हो, और आप नेम ऑब्जेक्ट और नेमलेस से दोनों से भी एग्जीक्यूट कर सकते हो। साइज कम करना है यार। Yeah. Save E1, save that program, save that, and I will share. Okay, don't worry about it. So this is about the class, and this one is about object. We can do lots of program. Okay, so उसके बाद में कल हम डेटा एब्स्ट्रैक्शन के बारे में पढ़ेंगे। Do one thing, आपको जितने प्रोग्राम्स आते हैं रिगार्डिंग what we can say that class and object, आप परफॉर्म करो। Okay, so if you have any query, let me know. We'll discuss about that. After that, we'll close. So याद रखना है आपको कि नेमलेस ऑब्जेक्ट जो कॉन्सेप्ट है उसे भूलना नहीं है। ये बहुत रेयर स्टूडेंट को ही पता होता है, तो उसमें से आप होनी चाहिए रेयर। इसे ऐसे भी कॉल किया जाता है, और डायरेक्टली आप ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करो, फिर ऑब्जेक्ट को स्टोर करो, उसे नेम कहो, लिखा है शायद से मैंने, या दिस वन वे नेम्ड ऑब्जेक्ट, या अदरवाइज नेमलेस ऑब्जेक्ट से एग्जीक्यूट कर सकते हैं। So does anyone have query regarding that? Chat box, yes or no?
No, sir.